everyone. This is Catherine Jelinek with the Skinny Platform. Thrilled to be here today with Tania Bengtsson. Hello, Tania. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Catherine?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. Can you tell us more about your nugget? Change the people or change the people? I'm really excited to hear about this one.
Yes. When I say these words, teams go, right? Because it makes you think. You're like, wait a minute, you just repeated yourself, but you didn't mean the same thing. And so the nugget is change the people or change the people. And it has to go in that order. So a company's ability to achieve its vision is directly related to our ability to solve our biggest issues. And the most common issue, the core root, is people, right? So we need to change the people or change the people. So I'll kind of start from the beginning. A regular phenomenon when implementing EOS is a leadership team gets really clear on our accountabilities. And we've got to start owning all of those things, which generally means there's a lot more to own than before. And because a lot of the members of the leadership team have LMA as a role, lead, manage, and hold people accountable, it's really important. There's nothing more important than the LMA. Okay. Then you look at the fact that about 86% of leaders and managers are simply accidental. We're great at doing something. That does not make us great at leading and managing people. The thinking is flawed. Like, oh, you're really good at doing the thing. You'll be great at making people do the things. And it's not the same skill set. And so what happens is we need to implement LMA training programs and plans, and we need to have great coaches and mentors and leaders. It's simple, but it's not easy because what got us here won't get us there. So that pile up of all of a sudden, we as leaders, we have not enough capacity to do our own LMA because we're busy defaulting to the thing that we've always been great at, which is doing the things, which creates this thing around we go to rescue people because we just take the work back, or we rescue them by saying, oh, I'll take that for you, or we're holding on so tight because we aren't making sure that our people have the training that they need to be successful. I'll just do it myself. Well, there's not enough time. And what ends up happening is we get burnout, we get stuck, we as leaders are the bottleneck. So it's pretty common. We see people in a session and we're like, I got to take this call. It's an emergency. I can't be gone a week because, oh my gosh, it's like a punishment. The week before, the week of, the week after, right? So the changing of the people looks like more of a sabbatical management mindset. Those are the words that I use. You can use. It's the illustration of what that means. So some companies will require their leaders to take sabbaticals for a certain amount of time, which is generally at least a month, could be a quarter, whatever that is. Those details aren't as important as what we need as leaders to do to change our leadership style so that we are training and mentoring and teaching our people. We are empowering them and giving them the autonomy for decision making so that what we're doing is creating extensions of ourselves so we have room to grow and be strategic. And we're growing our people at the same time and so on. And then we mentor and coach them and then their people until we touch all of those beautiful belly buttons in our company with great leadership and management. That's the change, the people. Unfortunately, there are people out there who either can't or won't. And after we've tried, we've created the clarity and the coaching and the mentoring, and sometimes it becomes begging and pleading. If somebody can't or won't, the continuum looks like we need to change the people. We have to love our people enough to put them in a seat where they can be more successful, Or in the case where we might have a cultural terrorist, we have to love them enough to set them free, make them available to our competitors or the marketplace because they don't belong here. So at the end of the day, our people are our results. And even for a leadership team, we have the right structure. We put rock stars in every seat. It's beautiful and great things happen. And if we're normal, though, fear creeps in. And what we want as a company is we want change. We don't really want to change much. We just want the change, the outcome without the right inputs, right? Inputs start first. And ultimately, we have to be kind and loving and brave enough to be able to lead with those things and not fear in order to change the people. And then we get the results we're looking for and we get to achieve our vision.
Tania, you are blowing my mind. A few of the phrases you said really hit home. So that the people, did you say the people are the results or drive the results? What was that phrase?
Yes. People and results are one and the same.
Right. And that, of course, all the leaders, we want the change to be demonstrated on, all the metrics, on the balance sheet, but we need to be brave enough to lean right into our fears, our hesitations of change on the inside and really do that bigger work of setting up those platforms internally for that mentorship and training and guidance.
Yes.
That's well said, Tanya.
Yeah. So you can't just expect people to know what to do. The beautiful thing is EOS gives us a great toolbox of all the tools that we need to make it happen. The question is, are we using the tools? Do we have ourselves surrounded with the right people who are helping guide, mentor, coach, teach, and then we become we transition from being students with someone else who's the teacher to being teacher of our people, right? But we've got to embrace the tools. If we're unwilling to change, we as leaders, or as if we as leaders are unwilling to make the change, all we're doing is we're protecting the status quo, right? This isn't a strategy. That's hopium. It's bad drug.
But that's brilliant and obviously simple. The idea that if we want the changes on the outside, we need to lean into the changes on the inside first. And to the degree that we want a bigger change, really embrace that internal change and do what we can on the inside. I loved also your phrase sabbatical mindset. That's really clarifying. That's a huge nugget within a nugget to almost help set that standard of how much training or to what degree of trust and training and setting your people up do you need to do enough that you could go away on a month-long sabbatical. That's perfectly clear and something that I feel like can hit home with leaders.
Especially when I see that behavior in the session room where somebody has to take an emergency phone call because somebody forgot to load a part on a truck and they're halfway between where they're at, where they need to be, and they're calling a member of the leadership team. It's like you haven't empowered or trusted or taught or coached your people to be able to make a decision like that, and you're gone for one day. Yikes, right? So it's holding up a mirror to the situation and go, how much more of that is there, and then how do we make that happen? Well, it is really simple, right? The concepts are simple. It's not easy because you've got to have, of course, right people, right seats, and people, we can be beautifully flawed and horribly messy. And at the end of the day, right, we've got to have enough time for that element.
So I know you've operated and led inside your own companies and in other companies that you've become a leader in. And tell me, how did you actually handle those moments where you faced something where it's like, it's going to be way easier if you just do it, and there's a bottleneck here, but the bigger and more important thing would be to train and teach, but it's a hot moment where it really needs to just get done. How do you coach leaders through that moment, or how did you handle it yourself?
Well, I think part of it is a mindset. Some people don't even realize that things like delegate and elevate is going to be critical for you to be successful as a company grows or to outgrow you. So there's a mindset, it's a realization. Then you have to have the tools. Okay. But in the moment, understanding that rescuing somebody, that is a doing mindset. It's a short term fix. That's like that, you've got a hungry person, you give them a meal, it's a short term fix. You teach them to fish, you make them self-sufficient. So you have to throw away the head trash and say, I have to make the time to teach them how to do it, because the time savings for me becomes exponential. Because if I do it well, I never have to take it back. And it allows me to be freed up to teach them more and give away more. And so the voice in my head, you know how we all have these fun little voices in our head, some of us more than others. Some of them could be the saboteurs. On this one, I pull from the movie Finding Nemo, the little French lobster, crab, whatever he is in the fish tank. I will resist, right? Cleaning the tank. I will resist. I'll resist getting back into that same mindset of rescuing. I got to put my coach hat on, right? Sit down with me. Let's do it together. I'm going to talk you through it this time, or you're going to watch me this time. And then this is like, we've got to be always taking those steps to give it away, work ourselves out of a job, not because that's what really happens, but because we free ourselves up to spend the right amount of time on strategic thinking and developing our people, not just being stuck doing the things and, more and more and more until we're so burnt out, we can't see straight. And we resist.
That's when you were talking about leaning into the change internally to see the results change. That's what it is. It's that moment of resisting the usual path, the well-worn path they've done before, and take a different set of actions or a different role altogether with their people.
Absolutely. Right? That's the stuff that those accidental managers and leaders, it's like we don't know. And if nobody is helping us and we don't have a pathway for learning that new skill set, it's like you don't know what you don't know. And it's not that anybody is intentionally sabotaging a company or doing bad things. It's most of the time we're not. We're really well intentioned and our hearts are in the right place, but we need more tools. We need more training. So change the people first. More often than not, that works. Doesn't always, but it's the right place to start.
That was going to be my last question, is what percentage of the time is it the first change the people, or how often is it the second change the people in terms of what you've seen with your clients?
Okay, so 17% of statistics are made up on the spot. So this would be a great example.
Okay.
To give you an absolute number, my gut says that more often than not, so better than 50%, giving people the tools, training, coaching, mentoring, right? It'll happen, but not always. Either because we're so resistant to change, we don't want the change, or we can't. For some reason, we can't or won't. That's when you make that other change.
Mm-hmm.
If you leave someone in the wrong seat for too long, they become wrong people. And if you leave wrong people in the company for very long, they scorched earth, bad news, cultural issues, turnover of the right people, and morale and disengagement. It's just awful. So we've got to love our people enough to start that continuum.
Yes. And when we're selecting that first path of change the people, we are included in that. It almost sounds like even more of the habit change probably begins within the leader rather than, the secondary effect is really the path created for the people they're guiding.
Well, sure. If we stand up as leaders and we say things like, here, you need to do the things, but I'm not going to do them, we're the problem.
Yeah.
And so we've got to model the change that we need within the company. That's us showing up as strong leaders, with a lot of authenticity. And that's the kind of leader that people want to follow, to be with, and to be mentored and coached up with, right? That's teamwork. Otherwise it's just, man, people can smell that. They're like sharks in blood infested waters. And they're like, don't tell me, show me.
Yep. The The real process begins within, once again.
People are fun.
Yes.
Ourselves, right? The only thing we control is right here.
Truly.
Look in the mirror. I control my words, my tone of voice, my actions, my behaviors. I cannot control anything else.
So start there, everyone. Amazing. Thank you so much, Tania. This was really impactful and I think very clear in terms of driving home the necessity of where to begin in terms of driving the change we want and eventually the results we want.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the ability to share that little nugget.
Wonderful. Have a great day, Tania.
You too.
This episode of the Podcast of Nuggets is presented by The Skinny Platform and is released in support of Freedom Reads, a national nonprofit opening handcrafted, curated 500-book libraries in prison cell blocks across America. Freedom libraries are more than just books. They are lifelines. They bring connection, hope, and dignity to prisons. Learn more at freedomreads.org. Freedom begins with a book.